This photo is a 5-year-old me speaking at my school's annual day function. I stepped down with a sounding applause. There were 100 students and 200 parents. And I spoke very well. Little did I realize that the next time I would be speaking so well was 15 years later. Good evening, Toastmasters and their guests.
Good evening.
I was born at the same time that 3 of my cousins were born. So the 4 of us grew up like 2 pairs of Siamese twins, doing everything together. We ate on the same plate, we slept in the same big bed, and we played only those games that needed 4 people. We spent our holidays together, so not such holiday. My cousin Janu spoke to me in a weird way, pausing and exerting a lot of force to get the first syllable of the word out. So if her name was Janu, it was Janu. She said that this is the new stylish way of speaking. A 5-year-old's mind is the softest sponge, absorbing every little thing that falls on it. And because this tenant came from a beloved cousin of mine, the deeper, I let it sink. Thus began the end of my fluent speech. I don't go to school except for the first day of the year when the teacher would ask us to introduce ourselves. I would usually be seated somewhere in the middle of the class. So once the introduction started from one corner, my nervousness would increase with each student, reaching a crescendo when the girl sitting next to me stood up, spoke out her name loud and clear, and sat down. My turn. No. Never came. My eyes shone with humiliation as I pleaded with my teacher for forgiveness. I couldn't say my name. Someone else said it for me, and I sat down, distraught, disconsolate, and desolate. It is said that the key to happiness is good health and a bad memory. Since I was blessed with both, I was generally a happy child, though I was mocked at every time I stood up to read. On these days, I would come back home and read the same lines aloud in front of a mirror, enunciating each word distinctly and with perfect diction. I said to myself, Panagar is such a fantastic reader, show him. Toastmasters, I finished my schooling without reading aloud a single paragraph in class. But there were strokes of luck, like for example in the 9th standard when I took part in the debate contest. My class teacher knew that I could speak well. She also knew that I would not enter the contest myself. So she spoke to my mother and I was compelled to participate. I spoke with a power I'd never known I had, debating with gumption and gusto, and winning the first prize for all the 3 sections. Everyone was astonished and couldn't believe their eyes and ears. That day my heart sang with joy. Flying high, high, I'm a bird in the sky. I'm an eagle that rides on the breeze. High, high, what a feeling to fly over mountains and forests and seas, and to go anywhere that I please. Toastmasters, this joy was short-lived. That day was just a flash in the pan. The soaring eagle had folded its wings and was back to tottering on the ground. My friends and family gave me a lot of suggestions which I could never implement. So I decided to seek professional help. I first went to a clinical psychologist, and then I went to a special center for people with stuttering, and then finally I learned hypnotism and yoga linguistic programming. Though these places helped me to a certain extent, they did not provide the conducive environment that I needed to get over my arcane fears. these places were filled with people with problems, and that scared me. So I decided to get out of there and defiantly resign to my fate. So what if I couldn't speak well? Was fluent speech the be-all and end-all of the world? I was a good human being, and that's all that mattered. Or so I said to console myself. But one day, a friend of my parents told me about Toastmasters being a good place to learn public speaking. I was still on the lookout for that elusive cure. Immediately looked up and found daffodils. At my first meeting over there, as is custom, the president asked the guests to introduce themselves. It was deja vu for me. I took an eon to say my name. But I was happy. I was happy because this was a platform for normal people. I was competing with people who spoke beautifully. My self-esteem went up a mighty notch, and I knew this was where I could get back to being normal. Daffodils was in many ways the proverbial teacher who appears when the student is ready, and I was ready to go. I started attending meetings and took up roles such as the grammarian and the art counter. Though I was far from fluent, I patted myself on the back because I was mustering up the courage to come back the next week and try again. If I was met with sneers and jeers when I stood up to speak at school, and afterwards I was met with cheers and more cheers. Finally, I gained confidence to deliver my icebreaker. And did I speak well? Yes. I spoke very well, without any trace of a stutter. I went home elated, ecstatic, and euphoric. Because I had returned from my self-imposed exile of 15 years. A quote by Albert Camus sums up my story. In the depths of winter, I found a hand in me, an invincible summer. Toastmasters, this speech is not about me. It's not about what I've gone through. It's about having a problem and overcoming it. We need to face the challenges so we may feel the exhilaration of victory. There were days when I would wallow in self-pity, unable to fathom as to why I couldn't speak when everyone else spoke. And when they spoke, I would stare at their faces, marveling at how the words flowed freely from their mouths, and immeasurably sad that the same words from the whirlpool inside mine refusing to come out. Today, I can make these same words flow as long as the river Nile, which flows across many a mile, spreading cheer and bringing many a smile. As a mountain, you cannot grow, but as a human, I can. These were Edmund Hillary's words to Mount Everest after he failed to conquer it twice. Fluent speech was my Mount Everest Toastmasters, and today I stand on top of the world.